Thank you. Welcome at my session, Powershell 101. It's really a basic session, so if you are well experienced, nothing new for you here. But if you are new, then it's definitely something you want to see and want to learn from. My name, let's see. My name is Paul Keijzers. I'm a co-owner of KB Works. I'm a Microsoft Office Apps and Services MVP since 2017. As you mentioned before in the beginning, I've experienced since 2000 with SharePoint, later BPOS, Office 365, and especially a lot of SharePoint knowledge, but lately, since the beginning of Microsoft Teams, I only do Microsoft Teams. Bio, LinkedIn, Twitter. I've got a blog in Dutch, which is on kbworks.nl. We are going to publish the English content there as well. There's still an old blog of me, and it's SharePoint Specialist.nu, and we have a YouTube channel. Till now, it's only Dutch, but starting from next week or the week after, it's going to be English as well. So we will have some multiple languages and lots of videos, especially in the videos are going over the end user experience, so not too deep into technical things. Well, why would I use PowerShell? Well, you would use PowerShell because most products of Microsoft use it, and especially sometimes you cannot do settings via the GUI, so via the front end. So with the GUI we mean like you go to the interface to admin or office.com and then to the admin portal, and there you set your settings. But sometimes you cannot do that, and I will show you some examples as well. If you haven't heard of it, or you have to learn it, else somebody else will do it. And you can do multiple actions in one script. So you do not have to go from, for example, meetings policy to a live event policy. You could do this in one script. I'm not going to show you exactly how this script is working, but you could do this. Let's continue to the following slide. Well, what do I need to start? At the moment, Windows, but one is not on here. I will show you as well is you can do it from the admin portal as well with Azure AD connection cloud. Mac, I thought it's in preview. I tried it and I had some issues with the WSMan. That's maybe already a bit too technical, but let's see. And again, there are 3 bullets I have filled in, which I already mentioned. So what libraries do I use? Well, at the moment, I use Microsoft Teams, but I also use CLI Microsoft 365. And the CLI Microsoft 365 is something that it has all comments in there, and you can do a lot of that there with those comments directly from the command line. And it works on Linux, Mac, and Windows as well. So another one which we use a lot will be Azure AD, which is not on this slide as well. Now let's go into the demo. I only have a few slides, so that's making it easy. First off, when we are in a Windows machine, we can go to PowerShell, and I would recommend PowerShell ESA. And one important thing, when you start off with PowerShell, I always recommend to run it as administrator. So in this case, I already pinned it at the bottom of my bar, at the bottom here. So what can you do? You to start it off directly as an administrator, you can right-click on this and then right-click and click Run as Administrator. But you can also go to the Properties and let's see where it is, because you have to do it via Advanced. Check, not here and here. That's I thought I had it over here. It's over here. I'm sorry. So you go into the shortcut settings and you go to Advanced, and here you can select Run as Administrator. This is also easy when you use Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio. As a developer, you always want to run it as an administrator. So this way it starts as administrator. So now I'm going to start the PowerShell ESA. And of course, it asks me if I want to run it as an administrator. I want to do that. And at this moment, I have. What you see is that when you are using PowerShell ESA, is there a reason you prefer? I see a question as well. Is there a reason you prefer IZ instead of VS Code? No, there's no reason, Tim. Thanks for asking. It's just the editor which I use at this moment, but it could be VS Code as well. You're absolutely correct on that one. If we look at this, then at the top we can create our script, and I even have a predefined script I will show you later. And here we can execute commands directly. So if we are going to start with Teams, well, we first need to install the module. And I will show you at this moment, we have several PowerShell modules, and I will copy and paste this URL in the chat as well, so you can directly go to it if you want to. So at the moment we are at 1.16 is the current version, and 1.15 is a preview version, which is a bit strange as it's lower than the current version. How do we install it? Well, also this I will paste in the chat. We need to click on install or run install module Microsoft Teams. And if we do that, I will show you what happens. Then I have to copy this code, else it will not work. It will come with a prompt if I want to install it. It will take some time, so I will go to the browser for 1 sec. So this one will come up. In my case, I will select A and yes to all. But you can also choose to do a public preview, and it's also documented in here. So here we could say 1.1.5, but I do not recommend to use it. Let's see, it's still running, so I have to wait a bit on that. And prior, it was also necessary to use the Skype for Business PowerShell module, and that's no longer needed actually. So let's hope it's running a bit through, because I hope this was going to be faster. So let's see if we can speed something up or do something else. What I will do is, because it's taking some time, I will show you in meanwhile a different option. If I go to my administrator settings in Office, and here I'm in my own tenant, and at the top, if you are a tenant admin, you also get the Cloud Shell. What happens if this Cloud Shell opens? You can directly do some comments from there. So it's connecting, and in meanwhile, just let me check if this is running still. Yes. It's connecting, so let's wait a bit. And this is the Azure Cloud Shell, which already has Microsoft Teams installed for you. So that's making it very easy to get started in here. So if we want to start, we have to select the command connect Microsoft Teams. I'll paste it in here. And this will give us a device login and a code. And in my case, I will copy it. I will go in here and go to device login and paste the code, authenticator. And as you can see, I can now close this window. And I'm doing this in a different tenant. So just to show you, that's why I'm switching browsers. Here you see directly what tenant ID and what tenant it is. And I can now click Get Team. And Get Team basically gets all your teams within the environment. So if we look at this one, you see the ID, the display name, if it's hidden or private. So here there are some hidden members. If it's archived, and in my case, I'm using a lot of education teams because it's just an education demo tenant. So that's why it looks like this. But for example, if I want to get a team directly and I don't know the exact name, I can tap and it should. I entered too quickly. Let's see if this one is, yes. So if I go back to the PowerShell ESA, I have to click on yes to all. Then it will run the commands and it will load the modules in here. So it's running, so I will go back here once more. I can do get team, and now I can type help. And that's incorrect. What I need to do is I can enter the min sign. If you do a min sign and click on tab, you can add a display name, for example, or visibility, so you can filter on that. And now, for example, I will use algebra and be careful as it's case sensitive. And now I only get the information of the algebra. So this way you can pretty easy do a lot of stuff before you even need a PowerShell on your PC, because this is all within the Office 365 environment. Important thing to know, because I will show you in this other environment. If I go here to the admin center, and this is the tenant which is my demo tenant. If I click on here, and it will open, but it will say, okay, what do you want to use? Well, we want to use PowerShell. And here you have to select if you have a subscription already on Azure. So that's quite important to know, because if you do not have a subscription, you have to create one, and then it will create a storage account in the background to do the stuff you want to do. So I wanted to show you this. Let's see if this one is ready. Not yet. It's loading, as you can see. It's saying installing a package. Meanwhile, I will go back here, and there's a separate thing which I was mentioning already in my slides, and that's called the CLI for Microsoft 365, and you can install it directly on the Cloud Shell as well. And if you install it, the only thing you have to be aware of, you don't need the min G. Why not? Because that would mean global, and you are deploying it on a Azure storage. And I think Microsoft doesn't like that if we are going to do it on a global way. Let's go back in here. I have installed it already. So here I go to M365, and I will get all the comments that are available. We have to wait a bit. So here you see, and this project is made initially by Waldek Moskovich. He created this project to have the comments available on his Mac as well. So, but we can use it in PowerShell as well. And here you directly see, for example, I have to do M365 login. So it will prompt me again for the code, and I will go to this browser again. I will do the device login again. Here I go. I still need to have a consent. I will do that. And of course, you have to read it before you give a consent. But in my case, I'm sure I want to do this. So I'm logged in now. And now I can do M365 Teams star. And I get all comments that are available, especially if I do like this. So no space. Oh, hold on. It was without the star, so that's my fault. You directly see, okay, now we got all teams, and I directly get more settings. So here I can see that, for example, if I do the arrow up, I will get my last comment, and I can select team. So we have 7 comments under the team, and here I can add a team, clone a team, list a team. So for example, if I do a list, and actually it gives me exactly the same as PowerShell did, only in a different way, and I really like this way. So especially if you want to script things, you can do this within this M365 CLI as well, and you can also use it in your other codes. So it's not only depending on your PowerShell. If we go back to here to the ISE, and I see that all right, it already was installed, so that's kind of strange because I thought I have disinstalled it or deinstalled it. But let's do here to check if it's working. I will copy some code from my Apple machine. Oh, that's the wrong code. And paste it directly in here. As you can see, it creates a new Microsoft Teams session, and also it loads the Skype session. And yes, I want to run it. So that's quite strange. Is not recognized. And I think there's an issue here, but let's see if I can get it correctly. I need my credentials, so there I go. Paste credential. It will open up, and I have to paste the username or password. And it actually gets my Skype for Business commands. So you need this to have all the commands available that you need for your experience. So if I do here a get team, well, and of course it doesn't work because the Microsoft team is not available yet. So I have to think about that, how I can show you this, as this will take some time to install. But what I will do in the meanwhile is, let's go first install the module again. Let me try that with allow clubber, which basically means that it overrides. Let's see if that's working. When you are creating scripts, and for example, I have a script in here, and yes, I want to reload it. So this is a typical script which is not possible within your GUI. So if we look at this, we have the problem is that everybody can create teams. So as an organization, we only want to have IT admins to create teams. For this, we definitely need PowerShell. So how can we do this? We can do this by creating variables, and a variable is always starting with a dollar sign, and within this variable I'm putting the group name, in this case a security group. Then I create another variable group creation, and this is set to true, and in this case I select I get the Azure ID settings, and this is an interesting one as well, because to use this, you have to go to the let's go in here to use the PowerShell for the group creation. You really need to have the install the Azure AD preview. Else it will not work for your organization, or at least you will get an error, and most of the time the error explains that you need to uninstall the Azure AD module and install the Azure AD Premium preview module. So this is something that's really important. Next to that, you see that in this setting, we also have an if statement. So if it's not, the settings object is not available, then if it's not there, it will create a template and create group settings. At the top, I have also connect Azure AD, which is now marked as a comment, and you can create a comment by hashing. So if you remove this, you will show it. As you can see, I'm using Notepad++, I'm using that because it directly shows you, okay, this is a PowerShell window. So we can directly see that it refers to Windows PowerShell, and you will get all the colors and fancy colors on the script as well. So if I go back in here, I hope it's, yes, let's do that. I will open the script as well in here. So here I go, open, set creation script. This is exactly the same script which I'm showing you in here, only within the ISE situation. So if I would run this script and my other install is still running, but if I would install this or run this script, it will make IT admins to create groups. If and I will stop the other one because else it will take some time. If I run the script, and I will do it right now, I will connect. So you have two options within the ISE. You can either run per rule, so then you need the selection, or you can select and say, okay, run the whole script. And in this case, I'm going to run the whole script. I need my credentials again, so let me copy them directly in there. Sign in. And what you see is that it gives me back a lot of values, and it says, okay, in this case, group creation, that's where we are searching for. So enable group creation is true. Now, in this case, I already removed the group creation for others, but if we would do it in the first time, then we would do it a bit different. I would remove this comment, and because we are already logged in, I do not need to connect again. Now I put this on false and run the script again. So the group name is IT admins, but after this, I just make it an empty group name, and I run the script. And what you see is that for all groups, enable group creation is false. So this would be the first setting. Now, as we are IT admins, we want to have it enabled only for us. So now we need to do it on set it on true and run the command again. So now you see that the group creation is only allowed for this group. It's very important to know that everything that is connected to Microsoft Teams, settings can take up to 24 hours before they are active. So this setting, I just did this morning on this group, but that means that in 24 hours, the setting will be available for everybody, and people can no longer create groups in Microsoft Teams. So that's really important to know. Now my preferable, and actually, if we go into the admin portal, you see that I'm logged in KBWorks, but I'm using the another tenant to execute the PowerShell, which is possible if you have the correct IDs. If you are looking for new scripts, you can find them. What I did is I just got into GitHub and searched for Microsoft Teams and PowerShell. And there you directly see that there are already a lot of repositories which have scripts in there. For example, the script of Elwin Bierens, who's also an MVP. he created this script to set the quality of service policy, and here you actually see what's happening. So he created a void, which means it runs after you do the GP update /force, it runs the total script. So this is how this works within GitHub. So you can directly copy this code and use it for your own. But we also saw some other scripts. Let me check on the first page. And a lot of people already made some nice scripts for Microsoft Teams. For example, this is 3 days ago. Let's see what's in here. And you can directly use them. Get users who belong to a group. Now, it shows you how it works. It got some signups, and you can directly use this in your environment. Of course, please test the script on a different tenant before you do it for your own tenant, or read at least what it does exactly, because sometimes there are some bugs in the scripts that are on GitHub, but be aware of that. Let me see if I did everything. Well, all the PowerShell commands that are available, I will post them as well in the chat. You can find them in here. And I will also paste the CLI, which makes it really easy. So let's go back to my presentation. And actually, I only have one more slide. That's if there are any questions. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. Else rate my session and let me know.